Um, it's good to see you all. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay, all right. So my name is Kasten, and I live here in the Spring Building, up on the, the 6th floor. And in August of 2017, I gave a presentation called, excuse me, Oddities Everywhere You Look. And this is a sequel to that, all new photographs. So, because on my picture-taking walks, I've seen all kinds of new things that were intriguing to me. So, the theme will be the same, which is how you can notice things that you never would notice before when you're looking through a camera lens. So, before I start, I want to mention two things. All of these photographs were taken within about a 15-minute radius around Oak Knoll. So you don't have to go very far to see intriguing stuff. Secondly, I don't stage photographs. What you'll see is what I saw initially. I don't move objects around to make them more photogenic. So, all right. So let us start with ordinary things in unusual places. These shovels are resting in peace in the backyard garden behind, a backyard garden behind the First Avenue Hy-Vee store. Now, if you will notice, the snow on either side of this sidewalk has conspired to refrain from melting just enough to create an exclamation point. It is very emphatic about being the only punctuation on the sidewalk. What could be more at odds than a cactus among zinnias? And yet, somehow for me, they work together. Now, I don't know if you've been down to Tower Court Park. It's just a block away from here. There's a wonderful splash pad there. And all summer long, the kids love to play in it. But then after Labor Day, they shut it down. And these inventive children have figured out how to make their own chalk. There is a big old walnut tree. And those are old blackened walnuts that the kids picked up and drew on the splash pad. Can you see who's driving this car? Is actually not driving. It's parked at the curb, which is on Tower Court. And I passed it several times before I did a double take. You see what this is? Someone propped a mirror between fences. Why? Maybe so the tree across the street could admire itself. I thought that this was an odd place for a decorative bench. But there's no accounting for tastes. This chair found a rather nice spot to contemplate the Iowa River. And speaking of chairs, I am crazy about spying on the lives of chairs. This chair is consoling this tree on Highland Drive. Because if you notice, this tree has not budded out like the others, and it feels alienated. So the chair is helping the tree to process its emotions. These chairs are happy enough in Iowa, but perhaps they're a bit nostalgic for the Adirondack Mountains. This easy chair, the easy chair is taking it easy, sitting on the corner watching all the cars go by. Sunbathing on its balcony. And for some reason, this chair outside the pub is fixated on that Bix Beiderbecke poster. Maybe it's always regretted missing that concert. Now this one was taken at the height of the pandemic, and you can see that these two are not keeping social distance, as recommended by Dr. Fauci. This old codger is having a midlife crisis. It's trying to hang out with those young, cool guys. This orange rocker came out of its apartment to show how color coordinated it was with the apartment building. However, it may not be aware of the danger inherent in sitting alongside a dumpster. Here we see a serious, consequential meeting of influential power brokers here in Oak Knoll. The chairs at the table are a tribunal. The exiled chairs are on the right. The chairs on the left are lined up awaiting their fate. There is no parking at this curb, and this chair has appointed itself enforcer of the ordinance. This is a sad situation. Oh, sorry, I missed one. This one. This chair is saying, I want to be alone, and it is getting its wish. But now, here is the sad situation. We have a clique of chairs, which has rejected the chair in the foreground, who would love to be included, but as you can see, it's so different from the others that they are not letting it join their group. So as I mentioned, I live on the 6th floor, and my balcony looks down on the 5th floor deck. And it's always just such a pretty sight to see these lively conversations in all kinds of weather. These chairs are angry and cold-shouldering each other. They had some kind of argument, probably about politics. And while these ones have been telling jokes, and one of them is falling out laughing. On the other hand, these are having tantrums. I just keep trying to tell them, you've got to stop talking about politics. You notice these two chairs, they're holding hands under the table. And these chairs are pregnant. Their due dates are imminent. They're commiserating with each other about their bladders. The one in the foreground is leaving to go to the bathroom. These George reception chairs waited so patiently for those renovations to be finished. Some were very stoic about it, but the ones on the left are just exhausted. And finally, this is the perfect chair outside an Oak Knoll apartment on a patio. Notice, it has a folding canopy for shade or sun, soft cushions, cup holder, and rockers. I'd like to know where I can get one of these. All right. So in addition to chairs, one of my other favorite things to photograph are things left behind. Things dropped accidentally or discarded deliberately. And if you're alert, you'll find a great variety of such intriguing things. Can you see what's been dropped here? There's a reason it's hard to see. This glove wanted to shake my hand. Here we have a glove protecting the modesty of a tree at Willow Creek Park. Or maybe the tree just has to pee. Hey, this job is not done. You're just going to leave me here? This tennis ball gave its life in the service of a dedicated and tireless tennis player, while this one died in the service of a dedicated and tireless dog, to say nothing of this one. Sometimes it amazes me when I see perfectly good pieces of furniture discarded like this, but probably the former owner expects it to be snatched up by someone who can use it, if it doesn't rain first. And I liked this chic sofa pillow, ensconced in greenery. Isn't it pretty? And then there's this moccasin inexplicably holding a flashlight. Backwards. There's got to be a story there. And talking about stories, what the heck happened here? These burned shoe soles were on the pavement leading to the Oak Knoll employees' parking lot on Oakcrest. Apparently Steve Rowe held somebody's feet to the fire. Here is a shocking end to an apparently expensive sandal, and on top of being squashed, it's lost its partner. But it's in utter defeat, but maybe not as utter as this. On the other hand, these guys may just be taking a well-deserved break. Let's think for a moment about pavement. There is nothing like the frame of a pavement to give a simple object pizzazz. Sidewalks make the most perfect frame for things left behind, creating a wonderful background of contrasting color and texture. From a distance, I thought this was a snake. Oddly, this pavement frame gives the cigar a bit of panache, whereas this cigar, among dried leaves, blends right in, because it's made of dried leaves. Losing things can be a real pain in the neck. When this person settled in for a long airplane ride and reached into the carry-on bag, rude words were uttered. Okay, so much for pavement frames. Here we have a hydrant babysitting its little pal. And this one sporting a jaunty cap. Contrast is everything. Can you recognize the reflection in these very blue sunglasses that were left behind on a picnic table? This is Terry Trueblood Lake and Woods. A shattered world with Africa and Asia missing on Oakcrest Street. Boy, somebody got mighty sick of ironing one day. Now, if I were this couch, I would be appalled at such brutal rejection. What could it possibly have done to deserve this treatment? I saw this interesting ornament hanging from a tree near the Fairway store. And 6 months later, it had found its way to a trashed bicycle in the Fairway Pond. Do you know these ponds? If you stand in the south parking lot of the Fairway store and cross the street and look down, there's a pond. It's completely invisible from the parking lot. And there's another one, if you just carry on the sidewalk to the west, pass a little bridge, there's another pond. It's a wonderful secret place. It has so much great stuff. It's got frogs and turtles and ducks and geese and herons. It's a wonderful place. You'd never know what's there. Okay. But this pond seems to attract harshly discarded bikes. Now, many things left behind got cast off by children. Can you see what this is? This is a homemade cell phone. I found it on the sidewalk to the Melrose Pond. Some child wanted desperately to own a smartphone. So short of a real one, they manufactured their own, complete with apps. It's got the power button at the bottom. And notice that these are French apps. The one in the last row is labeled Jeux, J-E-U-X, which means games in French. And I'm guessing that, let's see, sorry, this is something I wanted to say here. The fact that, oh yeah, and to make it even more authentic, the child put a backing on it. And the fact that this precious object was abandoned on the sidewalk tells me that those parents finally gave in to that child's pester. One key to finding interesting objects left behind is to be alert for some little spot of color that doesn't usually appear where you would think it would. So here's a spot of blue. What could it be? Oh, of course. My eyes were drawn to something pink in the Coralville wetlands pond, so I zoomed in with my camera. Babies are devoted to spitting out their pacifiers. Pacifiers are a dime a dozen on the ground, and someone has staked its claim to this one. I gather that the twins are in high school now, and it's time to clean house. Pacifiers are not the only things babies like to toss out of strollers. Good Samaritans try to help toys find their owners, sometimes to no avail. All right. Of course, beginning March 2020, the pace of things behind picked up. Oh, sorry. I forgot that I had this balloon before we move on. I loved the smoothness of this balloon, this beautiful green color against that wet pavement. That's another example of a pavement frame. All right, so moving on to, as of March 2020, the pace of things left behind picked up considerably. I'm sure you noticed every style of mask on the ground. Starry, butterfly. Here's a mask bearing the image of a masked man. I don't know if you can see that very well. The masked man is up on the left there. Sexy. Sweet, innocent polka dots. Cruelly treated and discarded. And a bit of Oak Knoll Garden Lane decor. And Mr. Jepson, I assume you had the idea that your elegant antique doorway chair would nicely set off your sweet contemporary black mask. Or else you just wanted to be sure you didn't forget it when you went out. It's a lovely contrast, similar to the cactus among the zinnias. This was a laundry day for my, oh, oops, no. This is, no, sorry. This is a profoundly sad surgical cap. This face shield is finding the dewy grass refreshing after a day working in the hospital. But this is laundry day for my cloth masks, which got tossed once the N95s came available. Finally, regarding things left behind, is a category of what I would call jettisoned excreta, or abandoned poop bags. I thought this was a picturesque place to deposit a poop bag, and this a good way for an acrobatic poop bag to show off. But this was a bit much. Was it really just too far to ask these people to walk one more foot toward that trash can? The sign tells it all. Clean up after your dog. I'm watching you. Somebody stepped in something. Okay, enough of things left behind. let's move on to things trying to be what they are not. For example, this leaf is trying to be a butterfly. And notice again the simple sidewalk acting as a perfect frame for it. Dead wood and roots seem to enjoy turning themselves into monsters. There's a bit of shocking cannibalism going on here. This wood monster is devouring innocent wood. This creature was at Terry Trueblood Recreation Area. That one too. Watch out, it's coming for you. And this one too. This is one big bird. Maybe a pterodactyl? But it's not just natural objects that like to impersonate things. I'm sorry to say that these stacks on the spring 5th floor roof went on a bender. And they are really regretting it. And it only got worse. This is a pea. It was in a bag with other frozen peas, but either it had a traumatic experience in that bag, or it has just gone rogue. Now, you might think that this is an ordinary mushroom uprooted and lying on its side, but look again. The stem is actually still in the ground, and this mushroom is impersonating a mushroom. Let's see, I believe this needs no explanation. I caught this walnut smoking a cigar. Whatever this thing is, it seems to be impersonating a hippo. These guys are bellied up to the bar. And this is a furiously angry Toyota. While this Toyota is always up for a good time, bright-eyed and bushy-tailed. And speaking of emotions, if you look around you, you'll see that love is in the air. These cattails are making out at Sand Lake. They are inseparable. It's kind of sickening. Likewise, these dandelions. And I don't know if you can see it, but there's a spurned lover just to the right of this couple. It's wilting in jealous agony. Even traffic cones in the middle of winter cannot resist each other. And finally, these vehicles are engaging in a public display of affection. It makes you feel you should look away. Okay, so another category is the world of color. People and nature come up with a lot of interesting colors and good combinations of colors in our surroundings. I don't know if you've seen this house on Highland Drive. It got a facelift a few years ago, and I enjoy it. It's this bright, crisp blue against this bright, crisp white. To me, it has a bit of a fairy tale look about it. And I wonder if these people anticipated how that tree in autumn would harmonize with the mailbox and the ball. Can you tell what my favorite color is? Can you tell what their favorite color is? I think these painted stucco stairs on Olive Court beautifully evoke old Mexico. This massive wall of green vines and that lonely little yellow grocery cart seem to be just made for each other. Even trash cans can look picturesque with a bit of a color scheme. I'm not sure if the colors in the glass ball were painted in or they're reflecting the surrounding flowers, but regardless, it seems like a happy combination. It's an orange world. And these two also seem to be made for each other. Did you notice this colorful garage sale a couple years ago on Cozer Street? I wasn't interested in buying anything, but I just had to wade in just to mingle with all those colors. Manufactured and organic, yet they too seem made for each other. Well, we all have different ideas of what constitutes pleasing decor. A couple of years ago, Lucy Luxemburg and I were at City Park looking across the river at this pretty house, and she noticed something strange between the houses. So we drove north on Dubuque Street and took a left on Taft Speedway to check it out. And what we found was this. It's a back fence made entirely of bicycles. And that was in March. So we went back in June and saw this. All the bike baskets were planted with flowers. It's still there. You might want to go to take a look. North on Duke, west on Taft Speedway. Okay. I saw something similar but not less surprising in a window of the Central building. Do you recognize the wave? And here is someone else's whimsical idea of decoration. This was in a community garden on the east side. And can you guess where I found this lovely snapdragon art? This was in our own garden lane. And I would love to know who the artist was. And did they pick all of those snapdragon heads off the flowers? I'm sure the gardeners were not too happy, but I thought it was beautiful. Perhaps you've seen this amazing wreath on the door of the sewing room on the 3rd floor of the Spring building. Joe Benda made this from spools. You should go take a look, it's just marvelous. She's mingled all kinds of buttons with these colorful spools and ribbons. There's a bow with streamers made of measuring tape and all kinds of clever surprises. At one university place, there is a cement slab between the south and the north buildings. The slab supports a big green electrical box that's surrounded by a moat of pebbles, the slab is. And for the last 2 years, someone has been creating environmental art on this slab. So here's this pebble dragon, a pebble turkey, a pebble owl. Someone made a dog, and then someone else added the wing. And that art remained undisturbed for 2 years, except for people adding things. And only recently was it swept away. However, there's new pebble art already appearing again, so you should go up there sometime. Okay. For several years, Lucy and I and others had come across these strange, what I call ornaments, hanging from trees in a wide variety of places. This one was hanging near the benches by the sidewalk leading to the Melrose Pond a few blocks from here. We saw something similar along a sidewalk between Fig Vine and the athletic fields. I also saw one hanging from that big old walnut tree in Tower Court Park. And right now, there are 5 of them hanging from trees behind one university place in that prairie back there. And they're all made from rims of containers, like this one, with the rest of it cut out. And sometimes they'll have a bit of tin foil and a pop tab hanging. There are variations, and no one I asked knew what they were or who put them up. Well, Andrea Rauer has solved the mystery. She started Googling, and she found that they were most probably deer deterrents. Because apparently deer get spooked by shiny objects that move in the wind. So that's probably what they are, although some of them are in places that you wouldn't see the need for them, but I'm buying her explanation. All right. So much for decorations. I want to turn your attention to signs, because that is their purpose, to get your attention. Although these road signs are exhausted, and they are on strike for better working hours. This is a honey wagon going down Benton Street. It says, "We're number one in the number two business." As my father used to say, there'll always be an ad man. Being a retired English teacher, I get exercised over preposterous apostrophes that do not belong. Don't get me started on apostrophes before an S in a plural noun. But this apostrophe, I mean, come on. What could be missing in the word fired? I have to agree with this sentiment. The sign on the back says, "We want your fitness equipment, dead or alive." And the vehicle is a hearse. Okay, this is a story of a naughty Oak Knoll resident. You know who you are, John Brower. And naughty Oak Knoll rabbits. In the spring, the baby bunnies taste every flower they see in the garden lane and then spit out the ones they don't like. So this sign says, "Fair warning," above a photograph labeled "Rabbit Stew." If you're ever in the court building hallway, take a gander at Joyce Carmen Baldus's apartment door. Every month or so, she has a new set of clever write-on signs. And I was especially taken with these, which were displayed last September, so I'll go in closer. Has anyone tried unplugging the United States and plugging it back in? Only you can prevent your great-grandchildren from living in an uninhabitable hellscape. Our extended forecast includes global warming and the catastrophic end of the human race, but for the weekend it's looking like sunny skies, mild temperatures, and a general apathy toward environmental concerns. Back to you, Jim. Finally, a few words about ghosts. Because my apartment is haunted, which is kind of strange considering it's only 8 years old, and I'm the only one who has ever lived in it, and no one has died there so far. What do you think is making my hair stand on end? And that is my hair. Well, I have ghosts living in my floor. They come out now and then. They're sad ghosts. I wonder what the tragedy was. This ghost seems more bewildered than anything else. And I have a phantom bird. Yeah, the bird doesn't scare me. I think it's kind of pretty. And my floor agrees. This is one emphatic floor. And that's all, folks.